Hey, Scott from Aristocob.com here.
And Seth from theshriekingpastor.com.
Together, the three of us work out on my nosy back porch, and we are Markwood Men's Breakfast Club. Good morning, boy.
Good morning, Homer. It is noisy.
Well, but we make up for that in that it's hot. So,
yeah.
A weather report from North Carolina.
Yeah. And there's no distraction at all happening.
Nope. So, the reason why we're meeting here, I am now a week into my recovery from my knee replacement surgery.
Yeah, congratulations.
Yeah, check it out. I'll show you. I don't think they can see it.
They probably can.
Ooh, sorry about that.
That's gross.
Yeah.
Looks like you got
really bruised in the back.
Hunk of bologna on it.
It's crazy bruised in the backside.
Yeah.
Didn't even know that.
Yeah.
Anyway, let's get smoking something.
Okay.
While I was in Germany, I picked up a tobacco that I can buy pretty much anywhere.
Oh, good.
I was at a convenience store filling up with gas and looking at all the tobaccos back behind the counter and thought, I'm probably not going to get another chance. I'll go ahead and get some pipe tobacco. And they had McBaron mixture. I like McBaron mixture. So I bought it, and then I get back to my hotel room and realize it's McBaron mixture Scottish blend, which I don't know that I've ever had.
I think I have.
So I like McBaron mixture. It's an aromatic. It's Cavendish. It's everything I like in a tobacco, and but I don't know anything about the Scottish blend. So let's check it out. I paid €9.20. €9.20.
Oh, expensive.
€9.20.
That's so.
Not really.
Isn't it about $1 per?
About $1.20. About $1.20 per euro. So I would say this comes in at about $12 a pouch.
How much would it be in the U.S.? A lot less than $12.
In North Carolina,
for a pouch.
A pouch of McBaron? I don't think so. I think you're still looking at close to $10.
All right.
So, anyway, look at that. That's a pretty harsh ribbon. So that didn't begin life as a ribbon. That began life as some sort of a cake, maybe, and then it was sliced into a ribbon for that. Very coarse.
Yeah. You can see the
But
breast.
as you can read from the back of the package there, while I'm getting my pipe.
Sealed for freshness, break seal gently.
That's not the part.
Baby. Seitzsteiner Marfenhucken im Jahr 1958. Word McBaron Mixture sei einer der Vertretern dänischen Michigan Wilsvit.
Okay, stop. So the Scottish mixture, Scottish blend version of mixture was introduced in 1958. So it's a.
That's what I was saying. Yeah.
It's an old tobacco. I don't think I've ever had this.
Huh.
I'm really surprised.
There's reason for that. You haven't smelled it yet.
I smelled it. Yeah. So I think I shared. It was probably 5 years ago. I shared this when the EU started passing laws about labeling and putting all kinds of nasty stuff on their cigarette packs and so on. One of the things that they required was you could no longer say that a tobacco was mild. You couldn't imply any kind of
Mildness.
pleasantness in the name. And so JR Cigar, which is about 30 miles from here, they had a clearance on the McBaron Mixture Mild was the brand, which is now called McBaron Mixture Modern. And they had 2-ounce tins of that. I want to say I paid $4 a tin. And I bought a bunch of that and smoked through it for, probably took me 2 years. There's several tins of it in your garage, but I noticed that they're empty tins now. But I don't think I've ever had this. So, what's going on with you, boy?
Well, let's talk about your knee.
Okay.
Because that's kind of some significant news, huh?
Well, it is for me.
Well, I don't think we've not had a chance to film. We had a chance to film?
Since I got back from Germany.
Yeah, since you got back from Germany. Did we?
Yeah, I think so.
I don't remember. I know our last video, I think was pretty well received, even though it was almost an hour long. We were talking business, kind of strategy and sales and how to run meetings, and had a lot of stuff that we just talked about, and it was got some good feedback on that because
that's the one that are 3 and then 2 viewers that we think at the end of the video.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it was crazy long.
It was, but that was one of those rare occasions where by the time we got into it, it wasn't so much about filming anymore as it was just about hanging out and enjoying the conversation. And so that was that was a lot of fun and beneficial, I think. And I'll ask the question now, and then we'll try to remember at the end as well. But we'd like to, the feedback prompted the question: what would you like for us to talk about? Are there questions that we can answer, or topics that would be interesting? A lot of people commented that talking about business was an interesting thing to them, and we're always looking for things to talk about when we get together to film. And so we'd love to.
I think that's
love to hear what's on your mind.
That's such a loaded question, though, because
sure.
So many YouTubers, not just in the pipe community, but so many of us will turn the camera on, record some content from the things that we're passionate about. At some point, we kind of run out of what it is that we originally signed on for. And then inevitably, you get to that point where people ask, well, what do you want? You have any questions? Be happy to answer them and so on. I think that most people come to YouTube maybe because they're empty and they're wanting to get information, or they're wanting to have a topic hear a topic that spurs their thought.
Sure, but
so I agree with you. Please give us your opinion and your questions. But it's a tough one to ask of people.
Sure, but if one person says, "Hey, it'd be really interesting to hear your opinion on X," that one comment can lead into a conversation that spurs into an audience of 400 or 500 people. And oftentimes what we're talking about is, and to your point, kind of like what happened the last week, and what often happens is we started this channel talking more about pipes and smoking and stuff, and that's kind of morphed into what we're interested in week by week, and maybe it hits a point where that becomes more of the focus.
What?
The things we're interested in, which it has.
I was going to say.
But
are you giving us permission to do what we've been doing?
No, but maybe we get to a point where the things that we focus more on one of those things. Maybe we talk more about business stuff more regularly than just yabos and other things. I don't know. Or maybe what would be interesting, because we don't ever do it, is talking about pipes and tobacco. I don't know.
All right, there's a question. That's a good question. You tell us if you have an opinion. It's sort of like when we asked, what do you think of this new camera setup? Right, us shooting on an iPhone instead of using an old webcam or camcorder.
Yeah. Most people say I don't care.
Yeah,
they said, yeah, it's fine.
Right. So I'll just say right now, thank you very much for joining us and for your forgiveness in the fact that from one week to the next, you'll never know what you're going to get, because we never know what we're going to want to talk to each other about.
Yeah.
So anyway, so let's talk about my knee, and then I do have something I'd like to talk to you and maybe even you about. A week ago Tuesday, so as of this recording right now, it was 6 days ago, I went in and had what's called a unicompartmental replacement. So half of my right knee was replaced. And I shared a video on YouTube as an animation, a video on Facebook that I will link to in the doobly-doo.
Okay.
It's an animation. I didn't want to go see any videos showing people getting their knees cut into. That just wasn't where I was. I didn't want to see what I was really facing. But I found an animation that was pretty interesting. And the one thing I took away from the video was to do this operation is very complex. A full knee replacement, they slice you open, they take about a 6 to 8 inch incision, they fillet that back, cut through a number of things, and then they cut the bottom of the femur off and the top of the tibia off, create a flat surface, bore some holes, and adhere with adhesives and bolts and things like that, 2 new parts that are going to interplay with each other. With my surgery, I still haven't seen the incision. It's sealed underneath this fancy schmancy
bandage.
Yeah, it's supposed to be sterile. It's got silver in it. What? Oh, tamper.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry about that. Use your finger. And but it's much, much smaller. From what I understand, it's, maybe, let's just say it's 3 inches long, and they didn't have to cut through any muscle. That's amazing. And because of the length of this cut, they typically don't cut through nerves.
Wow.
Where with a knee replacement, there are a series of nerves that run across the knee that are just too fine to avoid. And so typically, at best, you're going to end up with the outside of your knee feeling numb for the rest of your life. I don't have that. The cartilage on the outside half of my knee and the wearing surfaces were just fine. Now, when I went in and signed some papers and got everything going the morning of the surgery, actually it was a couple of days before the surgery, and we may have talked about this, so forgive me if we did, was the first time they said to me, now, if the surgeon, once he's in there, if he realizes that things are worse than they thought, you are agreeing to them doing whatever they have to do up to and including a knee replacement. And of course I knew that, but it kind of threw me back on my heels a little bit. Like, that would kind of suck to wake up,
Right.
having one expectation and coming out with a completely different reality. And I did have that question of the surgeon then, so I'm in the room, the recovery room, and there they make sure that you're not vomiting and that you're, not having a bad reaction, you're not clotting and
Throwing up into your incision.
bleeding has stopped and all that. And the very first thing I asked as I began to get conscious again was, were they able to do a partial? And yeah, absolutely. First thing that they were able to confirm. So the doctor came in the morning after the surgery to check in on me, and we had a brief discussion about how things went. And then I said, I watched this YouTube animation that showed the process, and I was really intrigued by the tools. I'm a woodworker. Could you tell me a little bit about the tools? His whole countenance changed. He lit up, and he was just another tool guy. He's like, oh, goes, man, it is so cool. He said that you'd love to come down to my shop and check out my tools. And I said, well, from what I saw was you make a vertical cut with a reciprocating saw, and then you make a horizontal cut with like a multi-tool. And he goes, exactly right. He goes, now one thing that I do different than the animation, I make that vertical cut and then I remove the blade from the saw. I leave the blade in the cut. And then I use that as sort of an end stop when I go in to make my horizontal cut. And this is, to me, was just fascinating. Jandy is sitting over there wanting to throw up.
Mm-hmm.
But it was really cool, and it was neat to hear the whole process and what all was involved. And the video that I found, the animation, apparently was spot on the surgery that I had. So, out of recovery then, and home. Let's see, I spent.
You were only there. You were there
1 night or 2 nights.
1 night.
Spent 1 night.
36 hours.
The next day, the day that I was there getting some PT, they get you up and get you walking around, get you doing some exercises and things like that. I was in 2 different groups. Almost everybody in those groups had full knee replacements. No one else had a partial. And I could see that I was twice as far along as them in the degree of angle I could bend my knee, my ability to walk into the room. They were all wheeled into the room. And
Amazing.
yeah. And so now, a week later, a couple days of physical therapy here at the house. And I would say my pain is at a 3. I am, of course, taking some pain meds, and that'll end tomorrow. I'll just move into Tylenol. But I couldn't be more happy.
That's awesome.
And I'm at the point right now that my pain is about as bad as it has ever been with my sore knee. And if it gets better than this, I will be thrilled. So it's all looking good.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
It's exciting. It's amazing that a week later, having been cut open and sawed apart, you're feeling better, or you know, about as bad as you have ever felt.
Yeah. So
It's about time.
I know. Now the question is, when do we get the next knee done? Don't know yet.
Yeah.
This one's got to get recouped. And then I got a bunch of stuff. I cleared out my calendar and moved a bunch of my training that I was going to conduct in the middle of the year. I moved it off into the remainder of the year. So now to disrupt that again with more time off, but I got to get it done this year. You know, I've hit my deductibles on my insurance. And just to get this out of the way and to get back on the disc golf course.
That's right. You gotta get that shoulder done too.
That's true. I will be the bionic man when this is all said and done.
That's right.
So, what else did I want to talk to you about? Oh, I know what I want to talk to you about. So one of the things I've been doing while I've been sitting around here for the last several days is researching online course delivery websites. And again, if you don't know, I'm a corporate trainer in my real job, and in that job, part of what I do is to create courses, some of which end up being delivered electronically through something called a learning management system, LMS. And there's been this thing that has been festering in me for 20 years, and that's the desire to teach woodworking, but primarily starting off with and targeting owners of shopsmith equipment. I worked for Shopsmith for about 10 years. I think their tools are excellent. I also think their tools can be a little confusing to people who are not familiar with them. And if you don't set them up correctly, you can injure yourself pretty good. And I want to do something, but it just hasn't felt right putting videos direct on YouTube. The quality that needs to be done, and the time it's going to take for me to do it would require for me to make more money than what I could make through YouTube advertising, YouTube analytics. And the target audience is so much smaller, there's just no chance. I looked at maybe we put them on Patreon, have people join Patreon. Well, then Patreon had their little fiasco with demonetizing or actually deplatforming a number of people.
Right.
So there are folks that wouldn't, just on principle, who won't use Patreon. And so what I've been looking at this last week, thanks to information from Boy, are a couple websites that do exactly what I'm talking about. So basically what I would do is I would create a space, a website, if you will, that a person could join and either buy a single course if they wanted to come in and take a course that is specific to their needs, or perhaps it would be something that they buy a year's access, or they buy a group of courses. I don't know yet what all the content is going to be, and once all the Shopsmith stuff is out of the way, there's no reason for it not to blossom into more just straight woodworking technique,
right.
In which case then more people would be interested in it than just the Shopsmith users. But I'm curious from you, are you familiar with any of those websites? Let's name them. Teachable is one I'm looking at very seriously. Thinkific is one. There's one that, are you familiar with Dotto Tech?
Mm-hmm. Steve Dotto here.
Yeah, Steve Dotto uses one that is also quite popular with people. I can't think of it though. And unfortunately, I noticed that the folks that are doing review videos are folks that have a dog in the fight.
Yeah.
They come to a conclusion, and then they ask you to use their affiliate link to buy the one that they've chosen. Now, is that unfair? I don't think so, because in the end, if it works really well for me and they're offering to give me affiliate links, then maybe I would do that. But for doing reviews, I wish it were more blind with that.
I would, yeah. The ones that I would trust, though, are the people that are true practitioners. So Steve Dotto, I trust. Pat Flynn, I would trust. Because both of them in particular are first names that jump out as people that have done courses for a long time. They've tried all the courses out there. They've reviewed. I mean, you can find them talking about blog posts, reviews, whatever, other course platforms.
Right.
And if they're using one now, it's because it's probably a better platform than what they've used in the past. And it's probably just a good all-around platform for that.
And it may really come down to, if you look at the laundry list of features, it may be that a feature that's included in this column
Right.
is important to me.
Right.
And it may not be important to everybody, but to me it is.
But also remember, when you're looking at those reviews, that where they are in the sales cycle or in the journey is very different than where you are. And so the features that they might see value in
Right.
may not be ones that
Exactly
you
right.
need right now.
So let's talk about a couple of the things, if you don't mind. A couple of things that I'm
They're here whether we
I'm interested in.
keep going or not. So.
Okay. It's important.
And
to
so
me,
you tell us what you want us to talk about. We're just going to keep talking about this stuff.
It's important to me that if somebody pays for the course,
Yep.
that number one, they get the value that they expect and then some. And number two, that if they need it, they complete it. I don't want, it would bother me to see that 90% of the people don't complete the content. I bought a course through Dig.
Right.
That was worthless to me. I mean, it was so bad.
Right.
And I didn't complete it. I completed like 3 of the 10 courses in it. It's like, they were not worth my time.
Yeah.
There's a reason why they bundled 10 courses together and sold it for $29.
Mm-hmm. So you do what Pat Flynn does, and you offer a 30-day money-back guarantee. Him and some others that have courses do that, because they want people to be satisfied with it, and we get some people that scam it, sure, but of the ones that buy it and truly ask for refunds, it's better to have that as a customer service feature than it is ones you're going to get scammed from.
Yeah, the only fear there, and there is a fear, is there are people that are scraping content
Sure.
and then reposting it somewhere for free.
Sure.
So I know one of the things that you can turn on at certain levels is you can require that the course be completed before they move to another course or to other content. Maybe they have to pass a test. So again, it's not being, you can't have a bot automatically scraping your content. But would that be frustrating to a user who bought 10 courses and just really wants course
Yes.
number 9? I think it would be too.
Yeah, I mean that's always the risk that you run in offering good customer service. Is really good customer service leaves you open to be taken advantage of, but the trade-off is you're offering really good customer service. I mean, a place like Zappos, who is known for their customer service, they have like a unlimited shoe return policy. It's crazy. Or Walmart. I mean, Walmart, not known well for their customer service, but if you buy something from Walmart, you can return it to Walmart. If you buy it from someplace else, you can probably return it to Walmart.
I noticed at the Walmart market, they had that little clearance rack, and it's like they had several things there that had no business. No way did they sell it out of that store.
Right.
And I asked somebody there one day, why in the world do you have this here? And they said, well, we'll take back here anything that is sold at any of the Walmart locations because we're a Walmart.
Yep.
And so then they end up putting it on clearance right there at the grocery store.
Yeah. I mean, that's we run into that. Our product is quite expensive. It's a restaurant product, and if we have a return issue or if we want to sell, and like one of the big things is, one of our products is upgradable. When a customer buys an upgrade, they only are upgrading a portion of the product. And so if we do that, the question is always, what do we do with the old version? Because it could be flipped on eBay. And then that creates like a black market of our products. And so, on the one hand, we could ask them to ship it back to us, but this is something that's been sitting in grease. It's gross. It's terrible for shipping.
Food grease, not
food grease.
Yeah.
It's terrible for shipping. It's just a bad experience. We could ask them to just keep it, ask them to destroy it. And so the question is always, within reason, what's the best solution for the customer that's going to create the least amount of friction in the customer experience? Because every time you create friction for your customer, you're losing.
So I have a couple ideas.
Okay.
Don't tell me what you do yet.
Okay.
You could ship it out to them in a package that has a pretty heavy-duty bag that would allow the old product to be rinsed clean and then stuck into the bag. And then that could be picked up by you with a will call, right? So basically a core exchange. Then you throw them away. That gets them out of the gray market. Or again, you can ship them in the bag with the recommendation that while it may not be ideal, it might be handy to keep an old one on hand if you need it in the future for a quick fix. I don't know, do you want folks to have the old version sitting around to fix? What do you do?
Kind of depends. We don't have a standard practice. So sometimes we'll have them ship it back. Depending on the problem, we will ship the new ones, and we just ask them to put the old ones in the box, put it in a trash bag, put it in the box, and we have started doing some repair. There have been instances where I've asked people to send me a photograph of the old one being destroyed. They'll like hit it with a baseball bat and break it, destroy it.
Do they play it's good to be a gangster on the back of the
background? I think so. I mean, this guy sent me a picture of it that's busted to pieces. Our product is an environmental product, so we're conscious of the need for recycling, the need to be environmentally conscious, even with how we go about disposing. And so it can be recycled by the end user. It kind of comes down to how practical it's going to be, because this is really getting into the weeds, but from an environmental standpoint, we sometimes discuss is shipping it back creating more of a carbon footprint than it would if they just dumped it in the local recyclable facility. And so we have some units that are quite large that we're replacing, and that's been the decision because they're in California, and we are shipping out brand new replacements for them. But for them to ship them back would be a huge hassle from cleaning it, because we're talking something that's like 4 feet long by 3 feet wide by 3 feet tall, and 2 of them. Well, they would have to empty it. They'd have to have it pumped out and emptied. But yes, it has been filled with grease, and so shipping it back, by the time it arrives back to us in California, we take great lengths to package it well. When we ship it out, it won't be packaged well, and so it will be broken. So there's no chance of us reclaiming that product and using it, and so it is just functionally unwise. It doesn't make sense for us to ask them to ship it back, so we're going to ask them to please dispose of it locally, recycle it, and
do you have a video that you could share with people for how to recycle or how to prepare a disposed unit for recycling?
No, we need to do that.
That could be interesting. You don't necessarily need to make that public, but it would be available. It would show that you're responsible. And
we need to do that. We need to do that for the same. We should shoot a video for how to package it up for shipping back as well, because we don't have that. Normally the piece that would be sending back is a small portion of the entire tank, but but we run into that, and so the question in that instance is, we run the risk of there being a secondary market for our products and us losing sales.
Yeah.
Is it worth being anal retentive about the disposal procedure versus creating the least amount of friction for our customer? They've purchased expensive units, we're supplying them with these replacements. If we ask them to go over and above into something that's going to cause us massive headaches, will they use us again for the next
Do
project?
those products have serial numbers on them?
They do.
So if someone were to buy one or pick it up on the secondary market and then call you wanting to have it repaired,
Right.
you would request that serial number and know that it was a disposed unit?
Yes, theoretically, yes. Yeah, but they could still repair it. They could still, there's still a market for it. So, so I think that's the question that you have to land on is when you're talking about a course, do you take the risk of being abused for the sake of offering good customer service? And you do that with Aristocab. You do that with pipes. I mean, if somebody calls and says, "Hey, it never arrived," you don't hold them to the fire and say, "Well, that's not our fault," or whatever the situation is. And so, I think the value that you get off of having a good customer service outweighs the times that the losses you receive from being taken advantage of those circumstances. I've worked with companies that have had that mentality, that very protective, paranoid mentality, and ultimately they lose. They lose because when you're closed-fisted with that, I think that Pat Flynn and Dottotech and some of the others have the right idea when it comes to the course. Pat Flynn talks about this on his podcast. He talks about how the information, he freely gives the information online. The people that buy the course are people that want all of the information neatly packaged.
Right. Their time is too valuable to have to go search in blogs.
Right. That you could find the exact same stuff in his course in 20 different places, or you can buy it once and I'll package it for you.
Yeah.
Because that's the other part of it that you're going to have to think about is how do you grow the audience how do you drive an audience to your course?
So I've already thought about that. You do have a few courses that are free. Mm-hmm. And which ones are free right off the bat are the ones that are safety related. Because I want somebody who buys a used piece of equipment on Craigslist to be safe, and I want them to get the basic look. Do this, or you'll be investing your finger, not just your wallet, in this. Those things will be free. And then, of course, you also want to show them something that is similar to other content that they're going to get.
Right.
And I would imagine that you would do. Think of it as a trailer. You would do a trailer for each of the courses to give people an idea of what does this course contain.
Mm-hmm. In a 20-minute course video, you put the first 5 minutes on YouTube.
Yeah.
Right. I mean that becomes channel content.
What I really like about this,
or Instagram or whatever,
these LMS programs though or sites, is you can have mixed content there. So you might have one concept that could be shared in text form,
right?
That wouldn't have to be a video,
right?
Or a PDF that someone would print if they want to hang it on the wall of their shop and refer to it, or if it's a printable plan. I like that. I could have, as I looked into Patreon, I could have done that within Patreon too. But again, you end up having your content gets buried in a form that's kind of blog form.
Right.
Now, I think that there's another way of laying that out to another page that you can create. But with this LMS concept, it's just straightforward. It's exactly what it needs to be. It's designed around delivering training.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Speaking of delivering training, I gotta say that YouTube has me figured out.
What are they feeding you on your own page?
They have been feeding me ads for the Penn and Teller Masterclass.
Oh, yeah.
And boy, oh boy, is it tempting.
Yeah.
I mean, I've seen the one.
Several of the master classes are tempting.
Gordon Ramsay
Yep.
Masterclass.
Ron Howard. You see Ron Howard's filmmaking class?
No.
That looks really good.
I've seen one of the script writers has a master class. I think Stephen King has one. Some of the master classes look awesome, but Penn and Teller for sure is the one that is most tempting to me. And I think that one's
Is it about magic or is it about showmanship?
Yeah. Yes. It's like 4 hours. It's a 4-hour course on magic, on misdirection, on showmanship. Teller's talking in it. They're talking about.
That's always weird.
Talking about the how if you can do magic without talking, that there's so much power in it. Because one of the clips they show in the trailer is when you're doing that, your audience is filling in the narrative. They're filling in the gaps of what you're not saying. Oh,
interesting.
They're gonna get my money eventually. They're gonna get my money. The kids. Ender was trying to be sneaky about Father's Day, and he asked me. He said, "So, Dad, what do you want for your birthday or Christmas?" So, well, buddy, my birthday is already passed, and Christmas is a long way away. Said, yeah, but what do you want? And Augie said, "Yeah, or Father's Day." And I said, "Shh. No, forget you heard that. What do you want for your birthday?" I saw an ad for something I'm interested in trying my hand at making, actually, because it's too clever not to try to make it. It's a plastic tie knot that has a magnet in it, and a tie that has a magnet in the top. And so you can hot swap your tie. And the tie, because it's just a knot, it goes around the button, so it doesn't loop around. It just goes around the button, and you can just swap your tie in and out. I wear a tie so infrequently that would be advantageous, because every time I have to wear a tie, I have to Google how to tie a tie.
Well, and it would be good if at some point in your presentation you make a point of taking your tie off and swapping it.
That's right, doing one of those, or doing one of those like walk behind the screen and everything's different. Yeah, like quick change. Something you can learn from the Penn and Teller Masterclass.
So have you taken a course like this, like what we're talking about? Have you ponied up money for a course?
I have. It was a while ago. And I've probably done it more than once, but I did it with a digital marketing course once. Justin Wise from Think Digital had a course that I paid for. I think I've also done it once with a church course, church planting or something. Nothing recently.
Well, you took your college online.
Well, I take that back. Well, I did do that. The one most recently that I got my company to pay for was building a StoryBrain. Did a StoryBrain course online. That rolled into us paying somebody to come on site because it was so valuable to us. There's one I'm actually trying to convince my company to pay for me by Vanessa Van Edwards. It's People School. It's a course I'd like to get to go through. I mean, when you look at it, if the content is valuable, one of the things when you're working in a corporate environment that's really nice about a course, if it's a good course, is that more than one person can take it,
right,
can pull it in. Whereas if you were doing it in person, that's travel fare, hotel, plus you're seeing it once. With the online courses, the business-related courses, you can have a couple of people sitting in a conference room working through it together, or many of them have a year or longer access. You can have other people access them after the fact.
So that's another question. access. Is it a one and done? You buy it. I'm thinking about me. Do I make it to where you buy it, and once you own it, you own it?
Yeah.
In which case that makes it that much more risky that somebody's going to share their login information.
Yeah. Well, and that's where it becomes important to not stop with one course and to build an audience. I think you build an audience beyond the course. That's
Yes.
You don't just think about, I'm going to build this class, I'm going to sell the class.
Right.
You build an audience that keeps coming back for the next thing that you
and the
make.
The community aspect. Right. Most of these websites that I've looked into have that as an option. I like that as an option where you can have conversations about what it is you're learning, and now you've gone into your shop and you've tried it. Why didn't it work? Well, you can post a picture. Oh, you notice you have the wrong saw arbor.
Another thing, here's something you should think about. Another thing that some of the courses have is you get community access. And one of not just within the course. So like the Pat Flynn's course, he actually, like in the video you're watching, this is a pre-recorded video, but in the video he prompts a question, where are you watching from or something? And there's chat down below, and there are people, when I was going through it, there are people on there from just like 2 or 3 hours before me that had posted their location. There's that community within the course, but that's kind of limiting. But a lot of the courses, like this is the case with StoryBrand, create a community through something like Discord or Slack. Once you pay for access, part of that is you send the email and they'll set up an account for you on their server for all the time access. So a Voxer group.
So Dotto has that through Facebook. And he was talking about the version. I think he's the one that used Thinkific. He didn't activate that because he has such a thriving Facebook group, and he knew that he wanted his loyal education users to be involved with those people as an enticement for them to come and join in. So having the conversations behind the firewall didn't appeal to him.
Right.
I can see both sides of it, and maybe you do both. Maybe you have a public-facing forum.
Well, yeah, I mean, that becomes an extra incentive to actually buy the course. And when you're doing it in such a way that you are setting up the user accounts, then the only people that get access to that are people that have actually paid for the course. And so that's one way of kind of limiting access to theft.
Yeah. A number of them have certificates.
Yeah.
And at the end of the course, you print your own certificate.
Yeah.
I don't like that.
Yeah.
Right? I don't like that. I know that in some countries, it's a big deal. When you complete a course, you want your certificate. That certificate's going to go up in your cubicle at work, and it's something you're proud of. I wouldn't want to deny people of that.
Right.
But the idea that, okay, hey, you're done now, load into your printer this kind of paper. I would think if you're charging somebody for the course, upon completion, they get an email, they get a physical certificate sent to them.
Sure.
I mean, that's what I'm thinking, that if I did that, that's what I would do.
No, the way you should do it is you should do it that when they're done with the course, they're given a coupon code for a free
T-shirt,
something from Zazzle.
Yeah.
Again, free, and then it's built into the cost of the course, but then
you use that as an enticement to complete it.
Right.
Yeah, upon your successful completion.
That's right.
Now, I like that. I don't know what that would be, but yeah.
Sticker, badge, I mean, coffee mug is good. Something that's not going to break the bank, but allows them to be a walking billboard of a thing.
Speaking of Zazzle.
Okay, we're back. We just got cut off by a phone call. That is a downside of using the phone for video. What we were saying is using Zazzle as a opt-in giveaway to get some cross promotion. Use Zazzle as a way to give them a T-shirt or a mug or something that they'll show to their friends, and then also as a kind of a bonus for actually completing the course.
I like it. So let's throw this to you. So I guess the prompt I have for you to answer in the comments is, number one, have you taken a course online that you paid out of your own pocket? If so, what was it that prompted you to go ahead and spend the money? Was there some enticement? Was there a discount? Was there some gift at the end of the course? Or was it just something that you were interested in enough that you went ahead and did it? And if you happen to know what platform was used, could you share that as well? And if you're using one of these websites as a customer or as a student, let us know which one and what you think of it. That'd be really helpful for me to know. And I think that's it. We want to wrap this up. Now, how about the tobacco?
I liked it.
Did you finish it?
I did. Yeah, I smoked all of it.
Okay, good.
Yeah. You?
It's all right. It's all right. Not a lot of flavor as far as a topping is concerned.
Sure. Yep.
And so for some folks, that's good.
Yeah.
I would still say it has to be considered an aromatic. To me, it's not what I'm going to be drawn back to frequently.
Yeah.
But we got enough that it'll last a while.
Yeah.
It'll last you a while.
That's right.
So
cool. I'll smoke it.
You know, we don't often throw it to the website smokingtobaccos.com or tobaccoreviews.com, excuse me, tobaccoreviews.com. But it really kind of is the go-to in this industry. And so if you're not already visiting tobaccoreviews.com, we highly endorse it. You kind of have to leave, just like with Yelp or anything else, you kind of read the comments with a grain of salt, because somebody leaving a comment about an aromatic and they hate aromatics, well, guess what? They're probably going to hate that aromatic. Or if they say, you know, this is an exception, I really love this, that might not be a tobacco that the average aromatic smoker would smoke. But I like that site, and you can kind of get a sense from the group, what the room note is, what the flavoring level is.
Yeah, it's like the 1-star review for a product based on a bad shipping experience. Like, oh, it arrived broken, 1 star. Not helpful.
Exactly.
Not helpful.
Yeah, the FedEx driver dropped it in the driveway. I have it on film. 1 star.
That's stupid. Yeah.
All right. Well, thanks for joining us. We're going to wrap it up. We appreciate you hanging out with us today, and I'm going to go recuperate some more.
Sounds good.
We'll see you again next week. Make it a great
See ya.
week.